BNP family, let's do something deeply unpopular on the internet. Let's treat a committee vote like it matters. Because in the governance ecosystem, committee votes are where ideas become machinery. So here's the move. The House Committee on Education and the Workforce advanced H.R. 4624, the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act, on a 30 to 40 vote. That doesn't make it law, but it does elevate it from policy fanfic to legislative project with momentum. Now, let's translate what this bill is really about in plain but nerdy English. This is institutional design for boxing, not a ranking debate, not a who argument. This is Congress asking what rules should structure a labor market where the labor is human beings getting hit for a living. So, the core innovation of this bill is the concept of UBOs, a framework that offers an alternative compliance system under federal boxing safety law. In other words, Congress is sketching an architecture that says if an organization meets specified requirements, it can operate inside a recognized federal lane. Now, this is subtle, but it's huge. It's not just more regulation, it's a redesign of the compliance pathway. It's a formal attempt to reduce fragmentation, inconsistent enforcement, and the classic boxing problem of everyone is in charge, so no one is in charge. Now, the committee didn't just pass this bill, it adjusted key minimums. Minimum pay per round increases from $150 to $200, which I know is crazy, but at least it increased, right? Minimum medical coverage increases from 25,000 to 50,000, and contracts are capped at 6 years. There's also a free agency window where boxers can communicate with other UBOs or promoters 30 days before expiration. There's also a don't bench humans mechanism. If a fighter goes 6 months without a bout, they're entitled to compensation pegged to the minimum rate. Now, none of this, of course, by those amounts are going to make anyone rich, but that's not the point. Minimums are not generosity, they're structure. They define the baseline bargaining environment. And when you change the baseline, you change the negotiation geometry. Who has leverage, when, and why? Now, this is where it gets really interesting because reporting ties support for this bill to Zuffa, I'm probably saying that wrong, Zuffa Boxing connected to TKO, which is the corporate parent of UFC and the WWE. So when you zoom out, this starts to look like a potential convergence moment where boxing's historically decentralized, promoter driven ecosystem might be nudged towards something more standardized, maybe even more consolidated. Now, I'm not doing conspiracy karaoke here. I'm just saying that when a major combat sports infrastructure company shows up, you should assume they're thinking in terms of systems and not single events. And that raises the real intellectual question here. Is this reform a fighter protection upgrade inside a pluralistic market, or is it the legal scaffolding for a more centralized model of boxing production? It could be both because history loves multi use tools. So I guess we'll see. Boxing has always had a structural problem. Fighters often negotiate under pressure, under uncertainty, and with limited transparency, while promoters and organizers operate with more information and more institutional continuity. So, when Congress introduces mechanisms like contract limits, pre expiration communication windows, and non activity compensation, it's basically trying to reduce the worst forms of optionality, where someone else holds your career in reserve while you age in real time. That's not just sports policy, that's economics. That's labor theory. That's human beings are not inventory in statutory form. So, yes, today's headline is boxing reform advances, but the real story is that the US government is tinkering with the operating system of a sport. And whenever someone edits the operating system, you should ask who gets new permissions, who loses them, and what bugs are we about to discover in production? That's the fast break.